B.J. Mayfield Originals. The House with the Lights On. An original short story inspired by the fear of being watched, but transformed into a story about courage, community, and choosing not to become what frightens you. The first thing Marcus noticed was the light. It was 3 houses down. A small yellow porch light. Nothing unusual about that, except that Marcus had watched the neighborhood go dark one house at a time. It was nearly midnight. His mother had gone to stay with his aunt after a pipe burst in her apartment, leaving Marcus alone in the little house he had rented 6 months earlier. He wasn't worried. At least, that's what he told himself. He locked the front door, checked the back door, checked the windows. Then he turned off the living room light. That's when he saw it. The yellow porch light. 3 houses down. Still on. Marcus stared at it through the curtains. Then the light went off. He stepped backward. A few seconds passed. The light came back on. Marcus frowned. Okay. He closed the curtains. 10 minutes later, he heard something outside. Tap. 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 He froze. Another sound. Tap. 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 Someone was tapping against the kitchen window. Marcus didn't move. His phone was on the table. He slowly reached for it. No signal. Of course. Then he heard footsteps. Not inside. Outside. Walking along the side of the house. Slowly. Marcus grabbed a flashlight. He didn't know why. A flashlight wasn't going to protect him from anybody. Then his phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. Turn your lights on. Marcus stared at the screen. Another message appeared. Unknown number. They don't like dark houses. Marcus's heart began pounding. He immediately called the police. No signal. He tried again. Nothing. Then another message. Unknown number. Don't look outside. Marcus stopped breathing. Because he had already started walking toward the window. He stepped away. The house became completely silent. Then, crash. The back window shattered. Marcus jumped. Someone had thrown a rock through it. He ran into the hallway. He could hear glass falling onto the kitchen floor. Then came a voice from outside. Marcus. He recognized it. It was his neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez. Marcus. Don't open the door. He ran toward the back entrance. Mrs. Alvarez? Stay inside. Marcus stopped. What is happening? I don't know. Then another voice came from farther down the street. Marcus. It was Mr. Thompson. Then another. Marcus. Then another. People were shouting his name from different houses. Marcus looked through the small window beside the front door. Every porch light on the block had turned on. Every house was awake. Then Mrs. Alvarez shouted. Everyone stay inside. Marcus finally understood. He wasn't alone. Neither was anyone else. Someone had been frightening the entire neighborhood. And the messages weren't coming from the people outside. They were coming from somewhere else. Marcus looked at his phone. Another message appeared. Unknown number. Look across the street. He didn't want to. But he did. Across the street stood an abandoned house. Its windows were boarded up. Its porch had collapsed years ago. Except tonight. There was someone standing inside. A silhouette. Marcus whispered. Someone's in there. Mrs. Alvarez shouted from her house. "Don't go outside." Marcus almost laughed. "I wasn't planning on it." Then the lights in the abandoned house came on. One. Then another. Then another. The silhouette disappeared. Marcus looked toward the street. 3 people emerged from behind the abandoned house. They weren't wearing masks. They weren't monsters. They weren't supernatural. They were 3 teenagers. And they looked terrified. One of them raised his hands. "Don't shoot." Marcus lowered the flashlight. "Who are you?" The tallest teenager answered. "My name is Devin." He pointed toward the abandoned house. "We've been staying in there." "Why?" "Because we have nowhere else to go." Marcus stared at him. "What about the messages?" Devin shook his head. "Not us." The neighborhood became silent. Then Mrs. Alvarez opened her front door. "Everybody stay where you are." One by one, porch doors opened. People stepped outside. Not because the danger was gone. Because they had realized something. They were stronger together. Mr. Thompson called the police from a working landline. Mrs. Alvarez brought blankets. Someone brought food. Another neighbor brought a first aid kit. Marcus stood on his porch watching the 3 teenagers slowly walk into the light. The youngest was crying. "We didn't mean to scare anybody," he said. Marcus looked at the broken kitchen window behind him. "You definitely scared me." The boy looked down. "I'm sorry." Marcus took a breath. Then he said something he never expected to say. "Come inside." Mrs. Alvarez looked at him. "Marcus." "I know." He looked at the teenagers. "But they're kids." The police arrived 20 minutes later. The 3 teenagers were questioned. The investigation revealed that the strange messages had come from an old wireless device hidden inside the abandoned house. Someone had been remotely triggering lights, sounds, and messages throughout the neighborhood. But the person responsible was never found. Weeks passed. The broken window was replaced. The abandoned house was secured. And the neighborhood returned to normal. Almost. Because Marcus kept that yellow porch light on every night. One evening, Mrs. Alvarez asked him why. Marcus smiled. "Because if somebody's scared, I want them to know somebody's awake." She smiled. "That's a good reason." Marcus looked down the street. One by one, other porch lights began turning on. Then another. And another. Until the entire block was glowing. Not because everyone was afraid anymore. Because everyone had decided that nobody should have to face fear alone. Marcus looked at the row of lights. He finally understood something. Sometimes darkness doesn't disappear because someone defeats it. Sometimes darkness disappears because ordinary people decide to turn on the lights. The end.